Okay, hi everyone. Hello and welcome to our Wikipedia Edit-a-Thon on women's independence and financial power. I'm Nikki Kang-Ferriolo and I'll be your MC today. So I am head of digital strategies at the Smithsonian American Women's History Museum. And a visual description of me is that I have long dark brown hair with bangs and glasses, and I'm wearing a pink shirt and a black blazer on a light blue Zoom background. So today's date isn't a coincidence. Today, October 28th, 2024, marks the 50th anniversary of the passing of the 1974 Equal Credit Opportunity Act. It is still wild to me to think that as recently as the 1970s, most women couldn't get loans or credit cards without a male cosigner. Give me 1 second. We're getting one comment about audio that's not coming through. Just checking. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, someone's raising their hand. Okay, great. Sounds like people can hear me. Perfect. Okay, yeah, so it's wild to me to think that as recently as the 1970s, most women couldn't get credit cards or loans in their own name or without a male cosigner. So today's kickoff is also the launch of a new initiative at the Smithsonian American Women's History Museum called We Do Declare, Women's Voices on Independence. So this is a multifaceted oral history program to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which of course is on July 4th, 2026. So We Do Declare explores how generations of women from diverse backgrounds have experienced this concept of independence, so we can better understand the multiple meanings of this word that's so familiar to Americans. So We Do Declare will unfold over the next year and a half, featuring dozens of oral histories and community stories from women across the country. And these, of course, are going to be accompanied by public programming and educational resources, and are going to culminate in a digital interactive experience in the summer of 2026. And so you can learn more by visiting our website, womenshistory.si.edu/we-do-declare. So I'm quickly going to run through the agenda for today. Following this introduction, curator Rachel Seidman will provide some historical framings for today's Edit-a-Thon and the work list. Then we'll launch into a training with Ariel Citrone from Wikimedia DC to learn how to edit Wikipedia articles. And then at noon, we'll transition to the Edit-a-Thon ourselves, which is where we'll be rolling up our sleeves and getting to work editing. So as a reminder, this Edit-a-Thon is designed with flexibility in mind, right? You can stay for the whole thing, or you can come for just part 1 or part 2, depending on your experience as a Wikipedia editor. Also, take breaks, please. We have 3 hours blocked off. You can stay for as much or as little as you have capacity for. Go step away, get some water, get some food. We'll be here, and we're here to answer your questions. Okay. So before we get started, I wanted to share a little bit of background about the museum itself. The Smithsonian American Women's History Museum expands the story of America through the often untold accounts and accomplishments of women, both individually and collectively, to better understand our past and inspire our future. We are one of just 2 new Smithsonian museums, along with the National Museum of the American Latino, and both were signed into legislation by Congress in 2020. And the legislation stipulates that we will have, in fact, a physical museum on or near the National Mall in Washington, D.C. So we have about a 10-year runway until this physical museum is built, which gives us the opportunity to meet people where they are, both in person and online. So before I turn it over to the presenters, I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping to share what you can expect as participants. For those of you who are new to Zoom, one of my colleagues will drop a link in the chat with additional information on getting started. We'll also be supported today by our colleagues Diana Turnbow and Dr. Elizabeth Harmon, as well as Dr. Summer Hamilton, our brand new digital community partnership specialist, who will be joining us as a participant so she can do some editing too. If you have questions about the Edit-a-Thon, we ask that you use the Q&A box, which you can find by clicking on the Q&A button in your taskbar, generally located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. For this session, microphones and chat feature are only enabled for hosts. So again, please use that Q&A box for your wiki-related questions, or if you have technical questions about Zoom. Automatic captions are available through Zoom, which you can activate or deactivate by clicking Show Captions or Hide Captions in your taskbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We'll also drop more detailed instructions for viewing captions in the chat. This session will be recorded and may be posted to YouTube or other channels at a later date. And finally, and most importantly, we ask that we all work to create a safe and respectful environment for everyone. So it is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Rachel Seidman, curator at the Smithsonian.
Hello, I'm so delighted to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for helping us increase knowledge about women in the financial industry. There's a long and fascinating history that is under-recognized, and I'm so happy that you're all here and we can do something together about that. As you know, today is the 50th anniversary of ECOA, the 1974 Equal Credit Opportunity Act. But how did that turning point moment happen? And why is Emily Card's role in that story both important and illustrative? Dr. Emily Card played a remarkable part as a liaison, in a sense, between the 1970s women's organizations that were pushing to get women access to credit and those who held the power to make it happen. As you heard, women's organizations have been advocating for change for several years. By the time Emily arrived in DC, the National Organization for Women, the Women's Legal Defense Fund, and others had been pushing for this. And in fact, Bella Abzug had already introduced legislation in the House of Representatives. But Bella Abzug wasn't on the banking committee, and her legislation had basically stalled out. Dr. Card arrived in 1973 and worked in the office of Senator William Brock, a Republican from Tennessee. She took it upon herself to network with the women's organizations, collate their research, and by using their evidence together with her own expertise, her own arguments, and her inside knowledge of how things worked in Congress, she managed to convince Senator Brock to take on this issue and spearhead new national legislation. She was also critical to drumming up support and making sure that it got passed. Dr. Card's is a remarkable story that helps show the relationship between activists and advocacy and legal change, and why those whose names are not always in the headlines deserve credit for getting the work done. Next slide, please. I interviewed Dr. Card as one of the first interviews in this new oral history initiative We Do Declare that Nikki was just telling us about. I'm so excited over the next 18 months as we get ready for the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence to continue collecting and getting to talk to amazing women who can help us really understand what independence means in the context of women's lives. You see on the screen here me with Stephanie Lipscomb, another one of our interviewees who worked at a bank that I'll tell you about in a little bit. Next slide, please. I was just going to also mention that for more on Stephanie Lipscomb and Dr. Card's story, of course, please visit our website. We have we have their interviews available and lots more information about the roles that they played. Today's work list primarily focuses on women working in leadership positions in banking and finance. The list includes important historical women who have been previously overlooked and notable contemporary women. I'm just going to highlight a few of the categories your work will contribute to and then draw your attention to some specific individuals. Next slide, please. So, as you've already seen, ECOA is one focus of our work today. Next slide. And we want to make sure that Emily Card is recognized in Wikipedia. Here you'll see some details about her, and you'll be able to find more resources about her. We're really excited for her to get her own entry into Wikipedia, something that is long overdue. Next slide. But you can also help by writing an entry on Jory Lula Friedman, who was a well-known Chicago television news anchor. She actually testified at the 1972 hearings in front of the National Commission on Consumer Finance's hearings on women's access to credit. Part of her testimony included this reflection on what happened to her after she got married. She said, "A woman who has proved herself responsible by paying her own bills for years is suddenly treated like a child who can't be trusted any longer. It's not only unfair and demeaning, but ridiculous and unreasonable that a woman should have to forfeit her economic identity simply because she changes her name upon getting married." So you can help us get her into Wikipedia as well. Next slide, please. Now, there's a longer history about women in banking that goes back well before ECOA was passed. We don't have time to go into it in detail here, but there are some people on our work list who represent this longer history, and we encourage you to learn about them and help raise their profiles. Next slide. One key woman from the work list who falls under this category is Lillian Harris Payne, a former teacher who began working under the better-known Maggie Lena Walker at Maggie Lena Walker's organization, the Independent Order of St. Luke in Richmond, Virginia in 1899. Part of the Independent Order of St. Luke was a penny savings bank that gave Black people in Richmond, Virginia, access to banking when white banks would not work with them. By the 1920s, the bank had supported more than 600 African-American customers in obtaining and paying off a home mortgage. Next slide, please. Even after ECOA passed, many women noted that bias did not simply disappear. And in order to give women customers a fairer shot at getting respectful banking interactions, loans, and financial literacy training, as well as providing more opportunities for women working in banks to rise up through the ranks, women's banks started popping up around the country in the mid to late 1970s. The very first one was in New York City, and another one of the earliest and most successful was Washington, D.C.'s Women's National Bank. Both of these banks are on our work list, and we would love for you to get them into Wikipedia. Next slide, please. There are also individual women who were associated with these banks, who also worked in other banks in the mid-20th century on the work list. For instance, Madeline McQuinney Dale was the first female officer at the Federal Reserve Bank, and after a 30-year career at the Fed, she was recruited in 1974 to be the president of the first women's bank in New York. Next slide, please. We are also focusing on contemporary women in banking and finance. We're moving in a positive direction with women occupying more positions in banking and finance than in the past. However, while women occupy 52% of associated finance jobs at the entry level, they continue to be underrepresented in senior management. This is especially true for women of color. But the industry is certainly more diverse than in the past, and we're featuring several women in our work list who are helping to reshape it. Next slide, please. Gunjan Kedia came to the United States from India to participate in an MBA program at Carnegie Mellon University, beginning a 30-year career in the financial services industry. Earlier this year, she became the president of U.S. Bank, the fifth largest banking institution in the United States. So you can see there are many, many fascinating women, and many more than I've showed here today, for you to learn about and help us get represented on Wikipedia. Thank you so much for being here with us, and enjoy your time helping to change history.
Thank you so much, Rachel. So I hope you're all fired up to add these women to Wikipedia. I know that I am. So on that note, we are going to turn it over to Ariel Citrone, who is Institutional Partnerships Manager at Wikimedia DC, who is our beloved partner on this Edit-a-Thon. So Ariel is going to conduct a 45-minute training on how to edit and create Wikipedia articles. And then she'll also stay on for the working portion of the Edit-a-Thon, where she'll be supporting participants and answering questions live and doing demos. So before I turn it over, I just want to say on behalf of everyone at the Smithsonian American Women's History Museum, thank you. It means so much that you showed up today. So without further ado, here's Ariel.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. Some of you may recognize me from past events, and welcome back. If you have edited with us before, we are so glad that you're back. And if you're new to editing Wikipedia, this should be a lot of fun, and hopefully you pick up a new hobby. So as Nikki said, my name is Ariel Citrone. I'm with an organization called Wikimedia DC. Wikimedia DC is the regional outreach organization for Wikipedia and other projects of the Wikimedia Foundation. We are a separate 501c3 nonprofit organization from the foundation. It's a little hard to explain, but the idea is that we are recognized by the Wikimedia Foundation, but we operate independently as our own outreach organization. Today, you can expect to learn how to edit existing Wikipedia articles and create new ones with the goal of improving and creating Wikipedia's articles on today's work list. The training will be about 40-ish minutes long. We have two things that we are going to use today. One is the event page, and another one is a Google Sheet. Now, the event page is where the article work list will live. I will share that momentarily. And the other thing is a Google Sheet that is linked from the event page. It is a page that you will use before you actually edit Wikipedia. And you will go ahead and reserve the article you want to work on. And I will share it right now, excuse me. We will go ahead and reserve our articles there so that we don't actually edit an article at the same time. One of the fun things about Wikipedia is that two people can accidentally edit the same article at the same time. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. I will go back to my larger screen share here. So I just dropped a few useful links in the chat. One is a link to the event page. Go ahead and click on that. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to the top right of that screen and log into Wikipedia. If you don't have a username already, go ahead and create one. Your username will be public, so please keep that in mind. For no reason do you have to use your real name. The only thing I do advise is when creating a username in Wikipedia, you do want to make sure that you include an email with it. That way you can recover your password if you lose it. There really is no way to recover a password for Wikipedia unless you share your email. So go ahead and open that event page. Within that event page, once you're logged in or you've created an account, there is a blue check-in button. I'm going to put something in the Q&A here. I'm not sure if somebody, I was just told that the links that I shared are only going to the panelists. So if somebody who's on the panel wouldn't mind copying those links and sharing them out, that would be.
Yes, I think Diana's on it.
Excellent. All right, so we can move on from this and go into the background of Wikipedia, and we will make sure to get everyone to the event page before we start editing, because of course we want to see that great list of articles we have together. But for the time being, we will move on to the background of Wikipedia. So when you do get to the event page, it will look something like this. It has a brief description of the event. Within that page on the top right, you can log in or create an account. And it's important to mention that this is accessible from any page within Wikipedia. You can go to any page within the encyclopedia and go to the top right and log in or create an account. This is not unique to the event page. So while we're waiting for the event page to come through the chat, you can go ahead and open Wikipedia and create and log in there if you choose to do so. But when you do, hopefully come in and edit on your own as part of your new fun hobby of editing Wikipedia. You can go into English-language Wikipedia or any Wikipedia language you prefer. Go in and go to the top right and log in from any screen. Now, once you're on the event page, when you do have a chance to go to that, and I'll run through this again at the end when we all have access to that, we ask that you do check in for this event. One of the great things about our events is that we track our progress, especially with this project that we are doing, filling the gender gap or closing the gender gap within Wikipedia. We like to see what we have done over the past few months and years as well. So what we ask is that once you are logged in with a username, just go ahead and go into the event page, click the blue check-in button, and let us know that you are here for this specific event. There are instructions on the event page of how to do that. We are almost through the housekeeping, and we'll get to the good stuff in a moment. On the event page, we have our article work list. It'll look like this. Anything that you see in red and blue within Wikipedia indicates a link. So if you see a blue link, that means that the article exists. If you see a red link, it means that the article does not exist yet. So if I were to go onto the event page and actually click on a link, it would open up a blank page. If it was red, it would open up a blank page and I could start writing an article from scratch. We will talk about how to do that. Before we do so, I will open up an existing article and show you how to work on that. So when you are on the event page, when you are looking at the work list, if you look at each name, next to the name, there is a blue show button, and that opens up a drop-down menu. Underneath each name are a list of sources that you can use to find information about these women. So the idea of this page, it gives you the list of articles, but we also like to provide you with quality secondary sources that you can read and go through to find important information that establishes notability for each of the women on our work list today. Now, you are welcome to use things that you find outside of this list of sources for each individual, but please note that the sources that you use should be high quality. They should be secondary, meaning not primary sources, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But just know that we tried to make it a little easier for you by providing some secondary sources with each of the names we would like you to create articles for. Now, I know that this is a lot of information on the housekeeping side on the upfront, so this will all become clearer as you start working and clicking through. You'll get more familiar and more comfortable with the event page and using it. And one of my pro tips for every event is make sure that you open the event page when you do have access to it in multiple tabs. It is quite easy to close it by accident, and we don't want you to lose the page and not be able to find it again. On that event page, when it's time to edit, you'll go to the Google Sheet, reserve the article you want to work on, and get to work. It is possible for two people to edit the same article at the same time, and we want to make sure we're not duplicating work and people are not losing the work that they've done so far. So please reserve your article on the Google Sheet and then return to the article and start working. Wikimedia DC has a safe space policy for events and behavior that is linked on the event page as well. If at any time during the event you feel unsafe, please report that behavior. There is a how-to in the safe space policy there. Wikimedia does take safety concerns very seriously, so we always make a point to address them. So now we've done housekeeping, and I'll circle back to that at the end to make sure that everyone has access to the event page and is signed in. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the background of Wikipedia, what it actually is, the structure of Wikipedia, what we like to see, what we don't like to see, and how to make changes to articles themselves. So Wikipedia is a multilingual web-based free encyclopedia based on a model of openly editable content. That's a fancy way of saying it's an online encyclopedia that anyone can edit. It's the largest and most popular work of its kind. It is typically in the in the list of the top 10 most visited websites in the world. It hovers around between 5 and 8. I'm not sure what it is today. It does change, but it is in the top 10 most visited websites in the world, which speaks to why it is so important to have women represented within Wikipedia, because many search results come back are Wikipedia articles. And if someone is searching for a woman in finance or a historical figure in finance that is a woman, and nothing comes back from Wikipedia or elsewhere, it indicates that she is not notable. And we know that that is not the case in many cases. So by generating this new content, we make it easier for people to find information, even if they are Googling and it is pulling from Wikipedia. It ultimately makes it easier to find information about women. So you'll hear me say Wikimedia and Wikipedia quite a bit. Wikimedia, just consider it the umbrella. It is the suite of projects that is managed by the Wikimedia Foundation and a community of volunteers and organizations like Wikimedia DC. So Wikimedia is the umbrella, and underneath it we have these individual projects. The most important for our purposes today is Wikipedia, and you can peruse this list now or at another time. A few other ones that you may have heard of are Wikimedia Commons, which is an online photo repository. Every image that you see in Wikipedia must be uploaded to Wikimedia Commons first, and then put into a Wikipedia article. The other thing that you may have heard of in the past is Wikidata, which is an online database. Then all of these projects are linked together. Wikipedia was founded with the idea that there shouldn't be a paywall between individuals and the sum of all human knowledge. It should be as accessible as possible. And by crowdsourcing that, it makes it easier to do. Using Wikipedia is free. Editing Wikipedia is free. It's overseen by the foundation, though the content is generated and peer-reviewed by volunteers. All edits and versions are remembered forever. There are over 7 million articles in English language Wikipedia. I think we're inching closer to 8 million now. I need to check that. But with every article, we get closer to that. And there are Wikipedias in over 280 languages. Today, we will be training primarily in English language Wikipedia, but if you ever want to look into the other language Wikipedias, just go to wikipedia.org and search for your desired language. All content within Wikipedia is freely licensed without restrictions, which means that once something is in Wikipedia, you are releasing the rights to that content. So I always mention this because sometimes we get a lot of historians, a lot of curators, a lot of educators who blog on an issue or are writing a book on an issue or getting ready to publish a dissertation, whatever it may be. Please don't just copy what you've already done because it's easier and put it into a Wikipedia article. I have seen that before, and we want to make sure we don't do that, because once you hit publish in a Wikipedia article, you are releasing your rights to that content. So just figure out another way to write it and get it into the article as you see fit. So just keep that in mind. The same goes for images as well. Okay, there's a question in the chat. Let me just go ahead. There's a question about the work list. Yes, they will actually enter the names because the names were changing. So I'll walk you through how to use the Google Sheet towards the end. There's a question about the work list not being in the Google Sheet, but we'll talk about that in the end. When it is time to edit articles, you'll go ahead and just write the name of the article you want to work on along with your username. So we'll move on here. Wikipedia basics, policies, and oversight. So Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. It is written from a neutral point of view. All content is free that anyone can use, edit, or distribute. And Wikipedia's editors should treat each other with respect and civility. Basically, what that means is just be nice to each other. If someone is unkind to you or makes you feel threatened, please report that behavior right away. But please make sure that you do not tolerate it and you do report it. It is important that we know if people are feeling unsafe. Lastly, Wikipedia has no firm rules. It's a fun way to wrap up this section after going over some of the the stabilizing pillars of Wikipedia and then to say, well, there are no rules. What that basically means is that there is community consensus and exceptions for certain things. So things can change. We have committees, we have a board, we have very active volunteers. So things can change, but these are the core pillars, the 5 pillars of Wikipedia. Now the policies, on the other hand, are the things we want you to think about when you start actually typing. So when you're writing, make sure you have a neutral point of view. So let's say you know about a woman on our list, or you're learning about a woman on our list in real time by reading the sources that are available. And you think she's amazing, you know, and you want to say she's one of the most influential women of all time, or she is, you know, the most impressive woman in finance you've ever read about. We want to rein that in a little bit and avoid what we call puffery. Now, puffery within Wikipedia is trying to enhance somebody's notability by adding just puffery, for lack of a better word, by adding things that may not necessarily need to be there. We need you to write in a neutral tone with the facts in a very matter-of-fact tone. Next is notability. So when writing about somebody in Wikipedia, you want to make sure that the topic that you're writing about, or person that you're writing about, is notable enough to have a Wikipedia article. So how do we know somebody is important enough to have a Wikipedia article? This is extremely important, and it is what keeps Wikipedia from being a social media platform as opposed to an encyclopedia. It also keeps it from being promotional, even though some people do try to slip in there that way, but it does keep it from being promotional. You want to make sure before writing about someone or something that you can find 3 high quality secondary sources, so newspapers, books, materials from museums, historical associations, and so forth, that talk about, for example, a person's importance. So we have some women on our list who were the first president of, first woman who was president of a particular bank. We have, I've added a few historical figures that were bankers that were later some of the first employees of the Treasury Department. Things like that. You want to make sure that you can prove notability. Why is this person important enough to have a Wikipedia article? Next is verifiability. You want to make sure the sources that you're using are good. So you're not going to a fan blog or some sort of side project that someone has done on their own. Blogs are okay if they are coming from an authoritative source. So for example, the Smithsonian, or a university, or you know, a historical association, something like that. But we have some of the sources that are available today that we consider reliable enough, so please feel free to use those. Next is no original research. You want to make sure that when adding content to Wikipedia, you are citing the source where you got that information, and that you are not citing primary sources, or you're not publishing information for the first time. And this point sometimes is a little hard to explain, but I'll do my best here. You are pointing at scholarship that's already existing. So you're not reinventing, you know, the wheel here. You are citing work that people have already done. And it's important to remember that Wikipedia is a tertiary source, meaning that it's citing secondary sources. And you do not have to go out and find information for the first time. The information should already be available for you to find, rewrite in your own words, and cite that source where you found that information. Next is assuming good faith. You want to make sure that you keep that congenial spirit when talking to other editors. And lastly is conflicts of interest. Now, many of the women on our article, we have historical figures that are no longer with us. There are some women that are still alive and active. If you happen to be related to one of those people or work with one of those people, please refrain from editing or creating an article about them. The quick way I like to explain this is love, blood, or money. So you don't want to edit an article about someone you're closely related to, someone you're in a relationship with, or someone or something with which you have a financial relationship. So the staff from the Smithsonian on this call or on the Zoom chat today, they wouldn't edit the article about the Smithsonian or any affiliated museums, but they could edit articles about women on today's work list. Now, I'm not going to get too into this because we did talk about reliable versus unreliable sources, but I do want to flag one thing. Citing reliable sources is crucial. citing social media is not allowed. Okay, so you might see a couple articles on our work list that are existing already. So there are a few that I saw when I was flagging a few issues that already cite some active bankers and women in finance, their LinkedIn profiles. So that is not appropriate. If you see that, please remove it and try to replace it with a secondary source, a more reliable source. The reason we can't cite social media and LinkedIn is because they are self-reported. These are things that people can write about themselves. We are looking for things that journalists or writers or scholars or academics have published about individuals. And we also cannot cite individuals' own websites. We can share them in sections called external links, which I'll show you how to create sections in a moment. But please do not cite one's own LinkedIn profile, social media pages, or their own websites. We are looking for things, information that comes from sources that others have published about them. A quick note about plagiarism. It does happen at every event, even accidentally. There'll be a few words or 5 or more words that are identical to the source that they came from. So please do your best to rewrite the information that you're finding in the sources in your own words. So I know sometimes there's only a few or ways to say something, or maybe even one way to say something. Do your best to find a new way to say it. So again, the idea here, it's like writing a basic research paper. You find the information you want to share, you put it into your research paper in your own words, and then you cite where you got that information. So please do your best not to plagiarize from sources. I did have just to give you an example, I had an incident a few weeks ago where I moved an article from what was called draft status to main space Wikipedia. I thought it looked good to me. It didn't look like there was any plagiarism, and I'm an experienced editor. I did not write the article, but I moved it from draft to regular Wikipedia, and it was flagged immediately for plagiarism because it was a little too close for comfort. So please do your best to rewrite it in your own words. We talked a lot about that already. Wikipedia articles are assessed for quality. So this list is read from the top down. FA stands for featured articles. That means the article is good enough to be featured on Wikipedia's homepage. We also have featured list, GA, which stands for good article, and so forth. If you get towards the bottom of the list, you'll notice the orange and pink categories called start and stub. These are the shortest articles in Wikipedia. Many of the existing articles that we have on our list, the ones that we're not creating, but the ones that we are improving, are start and stub articles. So hopefully there is enough space for you to add new unknown information to these articles. If you take your eye all the way to the right side, to the total column, so start at the start section or stub section, go all the way to the right, you'll see that the majority of articles within Wikipedia are start and stub articles. So it is fine to create and work on a short article. Wikipedia's gender gap. So about only 1 out of every 10 editors identifies as female. I do want to say that this is quite an old statistic. This was last, because we do not ask gender identity when registering to become a Wikipedia editor. So this was done in an official survey, I would say more than 10 years ago. So more recent estimates are closer to 12 to 15%. So we are making some progress. As a trainer, it would be very helpful if we did do another official survey soon. So hopefully that is coming, but this is the information that we have at this time. So we have a gender gap in the types of editors. We also have a gender gap in the actual content in Wikipedia. So in English language Wikipedia, less than 20% of articles, biographies rather, are about women. So we have about 400,000 of 2 million articles. Biographies in Wikipedia are about women. So I will say when we started tracking that number, it was 15%. We're getting close to 20, and it may not look like a lot, but it really is a lot because, as I like to say, it's not like people are not creating articles about men. So the needle is the goalpost is constantly moving. And even with that goalpost moving, the number of biographies in general moving forward, we are still making progress. Personally, I'm hoping we have a party when we get to 20%, but we'll see if that happens. But every new article that you create today helps us close that gap. And every stub article that you help to improve today does as well. A couple reasons why we have this gender gap. As far as editors go, there's been some surveys about it. women editors have said in these surveys, they just really don't want to have conflict online. They just don't have time for it. They're not interested in getting in arguments with people online. There's a fear of deletion and reversion. This is self-reported, of course. Fear of deletion or reversion. There's also systemic bias in the types of sources we have available. So if we know somebody's important, if nobody is writing about her, then we cannot cite those sources. So those sources need to be available for us to create the tertiary source, which is Wikipedia. One way to close this gap is events like this one. So in the future, if you want to keep editing on your own or attend more events, we'd love to have you. But like I said, you don't have to be in an event to continue to work on this material. So now we're going to talk about editing itself. So when you create a Wikipedia username, you log into Wikipedia and you will have the opportunity to create something called a user page. Now, I don't expect anyone to create a user page today. This is something you don't have to do. It's not necessarily a priority today. Just know that that's an option. So when you log into Wikipedia, you'll see your name at the top. If you click on your name, your username, it will open up a blank page and you can share information about yourself. You do not have to use this page. It is not mandatory, and you never have to share your real name or any affiliations on that page unless you are editing as part of your professional duties. So a number of our staff here from the museum will have what are called conflict of interest statements on their user pages saying, I do this work as part of my everyday activities, but I'm not editing things with which I have a conflict. Most of you, there's really no need if you're not editing things that people could accuse you of having a conflict with. But just know that that's here for you if you ever want to use it. Some people like to share what they're interested in. So if you're interested in women in finance, you could say, hi, I enjoy writing articles about women in finance. And others who like that topic may reach out to you as well. So you have a talk page. Now a talk page is where people will leave you messages. If you are new, you make it a welcome message. If people leave you messages on the talk page, you can click the reply button and reply to them on that page as well. Again, we won't be using this too much today, but just know that it's there for you. Now there is a editing preference. Now I hope at this point you all were able to get into the event page. If you were not, if I could have everyone go ahead and open Wikipedia in another browser, and I'm going to walk you through something. Now, if we get to the end of the training and you haven't had a chance to do this, I can walk you through it again. What we will be doing is setting what's called our visual editor editing preference. Now, there are two types of editors within Wikipedia: visual editor and source editor. Visual editor is an easier to use editing system. The screen will look like it does when you read it as a Wikipedia reader. The cursor will flash. You can type right into it. It's almost like working in a Word document or a Google document. Source editor is code editing. We are not learning how to edit code today. One of the fun things, though, about Wikipedia when you first create your username is sometimes it's a little hard to find a visual editor. So one of the things that I like to have you do as new editors, if you are new, is to make sure that you set this preference that I'm about to review to make sure that you can see visual editor. Now I'll run through this twice. Again, if you haven't had a chance to go into Wikipedia and create a username, either from that event page or another page, we can circle back at the end and walk you through this because it's pretty important to get you started. So from the page, from the either event page or whatever Wikipedia page you are on, make sure you're logged in. On the top right, there is a person icon. You want to click on that and select Preferences. On the next page, you will select Editing. And you will scroll down to the section called Editor. Within that section is a drop-down menu called Editing Mode. I need you to go ahead and open that. Select Show Me Both Editor tabs. You'll then scroll down and select Save. This is a one and done situation. So once you set this preference, you won't have to do it again when it comes time to edit. And I know that sometimes it seems a little silly doing it, why are we doing this now? It's just a way to set you up for success at this event and in the future. Okay, so I'm going to run through that again. And again, to reiterate, what we're doing is making sure that we can find visual editor in the easiest way possible. So Visual Editor is the easier to use editing system. So when you open Wikipedia or go to that event page, make sure you're logged in, click on that person icon, select Preferences. On the next page, select Edit or Editing. On the next page in the Editor section, open up the Editing Mode drop-down menu and select Show Me Both Editor tabs. That way you'll have Visual Editor and Source Editor at your fingertips. Once you've done that, scroll down and click Save. And as I said before, if we had a bit of a hiccup with this, we can run through it again at the very end. We're going to talk about an article, what it looks like now, and the last few minutes will be spent learning how to click in that article and make changes. Now we have a sample article. It's a pretty established article. I always like to pick one that's about a C class, which is mid-range. So I have Jane Fraser's article. She's a British American banking executive, a CEO of Citigroup. So you can see here, we have a nice looking article. She has a nice headshot. That's not always common, but it's always good to see. If I were to go to the tab called Talk, which is on the top left of any article, you'll see any conversations that people have had about this article behind the scenes. Feel free to look at that. You don't have to use it. You never have to ask for permission to edit a Wikipedia article. As long as you're a user in good standing, you can go ahead and just start editing. But just know if you ever want to see any conversations behind the scenes, you can click on the Talk button. So now back to the article itself. When looking at any article, if you click on the View History button, that's every time somebody has made a change and published that article, it is listed in a history log. So if you ever want to see what an article looked like at any given time, you can go to the article, click on View History, and select the date. So every Wikipedia article should have a lead paragraph. This is really a summary. This is where you make a case for notability. And if you are creating a new Wikipedia article today, and you want to do one important thing, the best thing to aim for is to create a 3 to 5 sentence lead paragraph that talks about the notability of one of the women on our work list. So for example, you would say the name. Of course, you want to make it in bold. If you have their DOB or their date of birth, and if they are past, you can include a death date if that applies. If you don't know it, you don't have to include it. But you want a matter-of-fact statement. Who is this person? What do they do? Why are they important? So strive for 3 to 5 sentences with sourcing about who they are and why they're important. So we have a couple of women on our list who are historical figures who were the first woman to lead a particular bank. So you would say so-and-so was a banker, period. She was the first woman to ever lead XYZ bank. If there's anything else, if she was award-winning or one of the women on our list, her home is actually a National Historic Landmark because of the work that she did. So anything like that that really proves notability, put that in the lead statement. Now the sections below the lead paragraph are when we break out somebody's life chronologically. Now it's a little different when writing about concepts or for example, scientific issues or things like that. But one of the reasons why I love writing biographies is that it's pretty easy to do if you just think about someone's article as a chronological storytelling of their life. So we have our lead paragraph, which is our notability statement. If you want to go further and actually start breaking out sections to explain the chronological story of their life, you can do that in the sections below the lead paragraph. So for example, we have early life and education, followed by career, followed by awards, followed by publications. So you're really telling them the story of what they've done. Wikipedia uses basic inline citations. So once you add a fact that you found in a source, you will put a citation and add a corresponding reference. Wikipedia uses hyperlinks. So Wikipedia links from one Wikipedia article to another, and I will show you how to do this. You only have to link to something the first time it appears. So if Citigroup is listed 12 times in this article, you only have to link to it the first time it appears. Now we have some additional sections at the bottom. Wikipedia articles sometimes have categories. I won't really go too much into this, but just know they're almost like social media tags. If you tag somebody as being in a category, they get added to a list of other people in that same category. Now we will start to talk about editing existing Wikipedia articles. So I'm going to go away from this presentation and open up this article, and we'll spend the last few minutes actually working on it. So I have a draft article, and I do want to call your attention to what a draft article is. Now, a draft article, and you'll see many of the links in our event page are draft articles. They are exactly that, draft articles that you can work on, you can shape, you can get the way you want them to be, and you can move them from draft form to final form. I hesitate to say final because Wikipedia articles are constantly molded and shaped and changed and edited. But starting articles as drafts will allow you to work on them as much as possible. Okay, there's a question about citations. It's actually even easier than that. There was a question if we're using Chicago manual style. Wikipedia formats it for you. So I'll show you what that looks like momentarily. So let's say I wanted to edit this article. Now this one was done ahead of time by Diana. Thank you so much. She left hyperlinks and a lot of meat on the bone here for us to work with. So, and that was on purpose so that I can walk you through some of the editing. So let's say I have an article open on my screen. I'm going to go ahead and click the edit button. I want to make sure I'm logged in, and I see that I'm logged in here, but you see this blue button here, this blue bar rather, it loads, and now the articles looks very similar to the way it looked before, and I can type right in it. It's as simple as that. You go to the article, you click edit, and you can work in it as if it's a Word doc or a Google Doc. So let's say I wrote some new text, and I want to put a hyperlink from this article to the other Wikipedia article. So for example, the Equal Opportunity Credit Act of 1974, why we're here today. Let's say I want to link from this Wikipedia article to that article. What I do is I go right up here to the link icon, I highlight what I want to link from. I click on the link icon, and now, oh, that's interesting. It must be saved under something else. Let me try something a little different. Okay, so let's say the town where she grew up. I'm going to highlight the name of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm going to go to the link icon, and now you'll see Wikipedia automatically pulls up the name of the town, and I hit select, and now I have a hyperlink. Again, as I said before, as you click around, you'll get used to doing these things. So that's how you hyperlink in Wikipedia. So let's say I want to hyperlink to Harvard. I'm going to go highlight it, click on the link icon. It'll pull it up automatically, and I select it, and it's as simple as that. Now, let's say I want to cite my sources. I've added sample text here, and whether it's one of the sources we shared on the event page or otherwise, I'm going to put my cursor where I want that citation to go. I'm going to go up to this cite button. Some of you may only see a quotation icon. Some of you may see quotation and cite. Either way, click on that, and it will automatically open up this pop-up menu. Now, if I go to automatic, if I have a URL, an ISBN from a book, a DOI, any sort of number like that, I can paste it in, click create, and Wikipedia formats it for me. The reference will go to the bottom where it's supposed to go, and I can move on to something else. Let's say that doesn't work. There's a formatting issue, or you just don't want to use the automatic feature. You can go to manual. Now I just select what I'm citing. Let's say it's a book. I can fill in the fields. Now you can add and remove fields. Anything with an asterisk is required, but we do want to make sure that we put in as much as we can. So last name, first name, title, date. I'm not going to do any of that for the sake of time. So let's say I've filled in everything that I have, and I go ahead and hit insert. Now I have a citation, and if I were to scroll to the bottom, I have the reference in the way that Wikipedia likes it. So we don't have to worry about formatting. It will do that for us. That's a great thing about Visual Editor. It's automatic. The next thing I want to show you how to do is to add a section. Now, for those of us who are creating new articles, I'll show you in a moment how to create a references section, because even though references format on their own or pretty easily with the pop-up menu I just showed you, we do have to create a header so it knows where to go. So let's say in our case, we wanted to put a list of her publications. So I would write publications. I would just change the font from a paragraph font to a heading font. It's as simple as that. I don't know why it's formatting that way, but as simple as that. Now, when I hit enter or return, it defaults back to the regular size text, and I can keep writing. Now, publications are typically a list form. So if we know that her publications, you would just list them out and hit publish. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you one more thing, how to put an image into an article before I go back to the event page and walk you through that again. So let's say there is, you want to see if there's an image that applies to this article. So I'm going to paste my cursor where I want the image to go, whether it's up here or down here. You'll see in most articles we have an image up here, but not always. It's a little more advanced to put what we call an info box at the top. If you want to learn how to do that, I can demo that separately. But let's say I want it over here. So I'm going to click my cursor. I want the image to go. I'm going to go to Insert Images and Media, and it's automatically going to open this up. I think we had one saved. I'm not sure if it's still there. We had a little bit of an issue with the image. My E key sticks a little, which is fine. Okay, so it's not there, but let's just say we're going to use this one. That's an image that we want to use. Obviously it's not, but for argument's sake, we're going to click on the image, click use this image. We're going to caption it. Alternative text is physically describing it. So people who are using screen readers will know what it says, what it looks like. And then you click insert and the image goes there. So again, to insert an image, click where you want the image to go, click insert images and media. Now, again, these are all images that are already in Wikimedia Commons. So this is not pulling from the internet. This is pulling images that people have uploaded to Wikimedia Commons already. And I see a few questions in the chat. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you how to do is navigate around the event page. So I have the event page here. I hope you're all able to access it. If not, we can do that together. So you'll see here's that blue check-in button. So I'm going to use it myself. I'm logged into Wikipedia. I'm going to click the blue check-in button. I'm going to roll down here to publish changes. You don't have to type anything, and that will let us know that you were here, and it will add my name. Sorry to make you busy. Oh, good. It looks like everyone is logged in. That's amazing. Okay. So let's say you're ready to edit. You're ready to go. You learned all of this. You want to click around. And again, with the idea that the more you do this, the more comfortable you'll get with it. So let's say you wanted to edit this article or this one. You wanted to create it rather. So I'm going to, the first thing I'm going to do is reserve it. So I'm going to go up here to the Google Sheet. I'm going to paste the name of the article I want to edit. Maybe write my name. And then I'm going to go back to the event page itself. Okay. Now, if I click on show, we have all these sources. I might read through a couple of these, make a couple notes on a notepad or virtually or otherwise that I want to include in the article. And let's say I'm ready to start this article. I'm going to click on the red link. It's going to open up a blank page. Now, this is another pro tip. The first thing you want to do is put a references header. And my E key is the worst here. References header. Remember, you write it out and then you change it to a heading font. Now you'll just ignore that and go right up to the top and start writing about her. So we have I'm going to start writing about her. I apologize, it's still in bold. But remember, the first name should be bold, and you should make a matter-of-fact statement. Jory, I hope I said her name right, Lula Friedman is a banker who blah, blah, blah. She worked at XYZ Bank. She won this award, and cite where you got that information and click publish. Now I'm going to publish this just to show you what it looks like, but I'm not actually going to take this article on because I want someone else to do it. So when I click publish, you're going to get a menu like this and you'll say started article. You don't have to write a novel or anything, just something very brief, and publish. And now we have a new draft article in Wikipedia. So anybody can come along, open the article, click edit, and keep working on it. If you are one of the people who is working on a draft article, which is the majority of our work list today, and you feel like you are at a place that you may want to move it into what we call main space Wikipedia, please let me know. I'd be happy to take a look at it and let you know if it can be moved. An article is ready to be moved to Wayne State's Wikipedia when it's formatted correctly, when it's been proofread, when it has a references section, when it has hyperlinks, and all in all, it just is formatted correctly and looks good enough to be moved. It does not have to be long. So just aim again for 3 to 5 sentences in that lead paragraph. If you want to go beyond that, please do so. But just know that Wikipedia articles do not have to be long to be worthy of being published. So with that basic information, we're going to go ahead and actually start editing. Please make sure, I will address this question before we move on. Please make sure that you go to the event page, you reserve the article you want to work on, you go back to the event page, you look at the sources that are available, and you start building out the story of these women's lives and achievements. Let me see this check. Great. So with that, I'm going to go to the end page of this slide deck. If anyone does need me to demo something again, I'll be happy to do so. I am on with you until 2 o'clock. We have 2 hours. Again, please make sure to reserve the article you want to work on before you start. If you have any trouble with any links for the sources, please let us know. If you have any other troubles, otherwise, please let us know as well. And hopefully we'll get a lot of work done today, and you will help us close this gender gap in Wikipedia. So with that, I will stop talking. Thanks so much for listening to me, and have a great time.